running some of the data over the past month, and we noticed that Start Engine raises that closed essentially since the beginning of February were seeing a really high failure rate compared to what we're normally used to seeing. So when I say a failure rate, it's basically a company has to hit its minimum fundraising goal when they set a target. Otherwise, all the funds get returned to investors. And over the past 25 raises that have closed on Start Engine, we noticed that 17 of those were actually not funded.
The main reason that we had identified is that Start Engine seems to have raised its minimum to $124,000. So it seems that companies, if they cannot meet that threshold, will simply not be able to actually close their round and take the money for themselves, which is kind of has positive side for investors, negative side for funders. So when I say negative for funder, well, simply if they raise on Start Engine, it becomes way more difficult for them to actually raising money. We've seen in one of the latest chart of the week that the median amount raised online globally is around $100,000 and on Start Engine is around $200,000. So it's kind of normal that we see that about 30% of companies just cannot close a raise on Start Engine. The problem here is that when you start a Reg CF, you have to pay different lawyer costs. You have to spend time filing SEC requirements. So you have to really invest a lot of time and money into starting a Reg CF file. So for companies that are maybe smaller, that cannot really bring $124,000 on their own without really using the Start Engine platform, it may be not a good idea for them to go on Start Engine. They may want to go on platforms that have a lower minimum. The good thing here for investors is that indeed, when you invest in a company that is not even raising $100,000, this company is going to have less fuel to grow, and it may hurt if the growth of the company, then the potential return that you will have on your investment. So that can be in some way protecting investors. This is an interesting move. I don't know if Scott has seen it coming.
I know why platforms maybe don't want to do this, because their whole business is like, like any other business, like, how do I get you in this car today? But I don't understand companies that don't do test the waters for everything first. Like, I would literally, I would have this conversation amongst my team and say, hey, do we want to raise money this way? I would send out feelers to all of my customers and see if there was a lot of interest. And then I would reach out to a platform who wants to have me or issuance or whoever and say, hey, we want to basically do a test the waters to determine how much we're going to have. And then we'll go forward with any of this stuff. I feel like that's such a brilliant idea that is mostly utilized by large companies, large startup companies like Substack and Mercury and others who've filled in a day, but actually might be a really good practice for every company. I'm curious your thoughts. You got to use the birthday party rules. You invite all your friends. If half show up, you're pretty cool. If you get a third of your friends, there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's the sub 30 where you really got to look yourself in the mirror. I think it's a nice opportunity to start moving a little bit more mature relative to the offerings and putting pressure on investors to pick more shrewdly, but platforms to also limit what goes on their platform.
I do see this favorably because it's good actually for investors to understand when they are on one platform, what are the type of deals they're going to find. If you go on WeFunder, you're going to have everything from big startups to small mom and pop shop. Maybe you know that if you're on Start Engine, you're only going to have these deals that are going to raise more money. And at least investors know what the Start Engine brand means for them and what they should be expecting. I don't really invest in small companies for the reason that when I invest into equity, I want that equity to get a lot of value by the time it exists. I would invest in small businesses if they're raising debt or revenue share deals. I think that, and it's my philosophy, when you invest into equity, it's way better to have a company that actually is going to be able to grow and have a good exit opportunity.
I think right now, I forget the exact number. Last time I looked, there was still more than 90 plus registered funding portals that basically you could do an offering on.
Of opportunity here, but for investors, really should be looking at deal by deal and not platform by platform. That's just my opinion. WeFunder and Republic spend probably the least amount of money on marketing per deal, per platform, per general portal amongst all of them, but they have the highest rated deals, and yet they come in kind of on the middle amount of money, which suggests that they do their business by trying to bring out fewer but better deals, raise more money per deal, but still collectively less money total. than StartEngine and Dealmaker, who spend a lot more money in advertising. StartEngine clearly does through the Mr. Wonderful, more traditional media chains. You'll see them on MSNBC and stuff like that. And Dealmaker, if you subscribe to newsletters, it's like fucking impossible to miss them. They're everywhere. I think that's your correlation.